YouTube comments from a video titled, "Millions of Americans Just Got Screwed Out of Healthcare." Part 7.
At Joe Dirt 6073 wrote,
That bald guy that is about my age, actually probably a handful of years older, saying he wants government to run healthcare is pathetic. So, the government always tells you something will cost such and such. Then they come out later and say, oh, it is going to actually cost such and such. So that 7% would be 25% in no time, and it would take 3 months to actually get an appointment. He has lived long enough to know better than the 20-somethings that want the same thing. The might of the US government comes from the corporations, not us Joe Blows. When the government sold the people income tax back in the day, they told them only the top 1% of income earners would pay it. Well, that sure changed.
That the Guy Mullins wrote,
I went nearly 30 years without going to the doctor. Then I got a CDL and have to take a physical from time to time. I will be 60 in the spring.
At Angelophilus wrote,
Everyone forgetting Cali will tax you a penalty each year for not having health care, so everyone who doesn't pay will have a tax debt. The solution needs to be emergency intervention.
At Tracy Knox 6482 wrote,
The whole thing was designed to fail. They want what they call single payer, which means the government is the single payer of everything and has full control of all of that money. That's what they want. So they designed Obamacare to fail after about 14 or 15 years, which is where we are at right now, and the Democrats are counting on the people to demand single payer. Total government-run health care. Rush Limbaugh and many others pointed this out back in 2010. When this whole thing was passed and signed into law by President Obama.
At Jim Frithou wrote,
Look this up. The U.S. spends more public money on healthcare than Sweden or Canada. This means the U.S. currently, even with our private health insurance system, already pays more taxpayer money for healthcare per capita than countries with gov-paid healthcare. So why do you think you would pay 50% more out of your paycheck on healthcare when you already pay enough to get it free?
At WR Zinth 410 wrote,
You were kicked off you parents' health care at 26 way before Trump was your king. Also, you can thank Obama for forcing everyone to have health insurance. My company is forcing me to have insurance. I can't decline it.
At Blue Devil 0111 wrote,
Health insurance is necessary defense for wealth building. Medical bills are the #1 reason for bankruptcy in America. You never know when you're going to get in an accident or get a bad diagnosis. It happens every day, and you never think it will happen to you.
At Wild Violets 0 wrote,
Paying out of pocket is sometimes cheaper. I pay for insurance through my employer, and my copays are ridiculous sometimes. I've asked a receptionist at the DR office once how much my payment would be if I was self-pay off the record. It was $20 less than with insurance. Honestly, for what premiums cost, you might as well put that amount into an account and just self-pay. My nephew broke his arm, and my sister paid out of pocket. They got loads of discounts because of that and ended up spending about $9,000, I think. That's a lot, yes, but they still saved money for the year and not paying premiums, even paying for a broken arm.
At Angry Asian 69 wrote,
If you walk down any city in America, I bet you wouldn't want to be responsible for the health of 9/10 people. If there was mandatory exercise, sure, we can talk about universal health care, but until then, hard pass.
At Loris Chager 8027 wrote,
Shit, I haven't had health insurance for 4 years. I have health issues but help myself through diet and alternative medicine. I'm doing much better than if my body was in the hands of the medical industrial complex.
At Ian Moon BL7 wrote,
I get paid $18 an hour at my job. My take home is $2,000 in 30 days. That one chick paying $500 a month or every 2 weeks. Holy crap, I barely can afford stuff now.
At Bob Veldkamp, L9L wrote,
I'm Dutch and 67. I have my personal state assured and price capped healthcare. €200 a month and covers everything, including medication. The USA sounds horrible.
Chickerscar 3812 wrote,
Hospitals have zero interest payment plans. When the clinic I used didn't accept my new insurance, they charged me $95 for a treatment I used to pay $165 with insurance.
At Gary Francis 6193 wrote,
I stopped going to MC Donald's in July 2023, though there's one 700 meters from my place. MC Donald's just screwed it by closing for renovations, then reopened with all the SIFT upholstered furniture, replaced by hard plastic chairs and benches, and expanding the kitchen to take up half the ground floor. The parking around the MC Donald's has automatic bars across exits and entrance. Drivers have to show a receipt to a scanner to lift the bar. MC Donald's used to be a place to meet friends. Now none of them, or I will go there. Business, I can tell by the parking lot walking by, has dropped to 25%. Washington TG80 a good business move? I understand they did this worldwide, then wonder why business is down. I was expecting by now to see MC Donald's file for bankruptcy, just as Hershey's and Jack Daniels just did. Could you ever imagine Hershey's going bankrupt? MC Donald's is next.
At Missy Learned 9821 wrote,
Most countries in Europe have an income tax rate between 17% 45%. BUT, they get free healthcare, free university, and they pay very little or no property taxes.
At Girl and Fire 2.076 wrote,
Start exercising, ETG right, and look into natural remedies and only go to the doctors if it's an emergency and look into free clinics, etc. Start taking care of yourself because in the USA you are on your own, and honestly a lot of these so-called doctors aren't all that.
At Harrisk 8101 wrote,
Dude, when you look at all-cause mortality from the CDC per year and realize, with your own eyes, that medicine is among the top 3 causes of death in the USA, you will see good reason to stop feeding that beast. Between 2009 and 2020, medicine went from the 5th leading cause of death in the US to the 3rd leading cause. How's that health insurance working for people? It's killing them.
Codasm wrote,
But universal health care is socialism. Americans keep voting against your own interest. I mean, American voters are so effing stupid, all your corporate insurance-owned politicians have to say is it socialism, and you morons back off. Well, let me tell you how it is being poor in Canada. Federal daycare, I believe you pay $10 a day, 9 months off with pay when you have a baby. Federal dental care, federal medications. Keep winning, morons, cause insurance companies need your money.
At Anthony Jones PX6V wrote,
They ain't lying. I pay for insurance that doesn't cover anything. BCBS. Every visit I pay out of pocket might as well save the extra in paying them to do nothing.
At My Name 0887 wrote,
I was renewing my coverage and I was thinking about Jack when I heard him say in another video that he didn't have insurance. I was like, do I really need this?
At Grandma Blutchip wrote,
25 years ago, health insurance for myself alone was $1,100 a month due to having health issues and that whole pre-existing condition BS. You are screwed for life if you ever have health problems. Oh, and the very demons who perfidier and hold yous hostage to these high premiums are the same ones trying to fucking kill yous and intentionally poisoning our food, water, air, and everything else to make us sick. Wake up. The devil controls these evil bloodlines families who are in this for the centuries long game. Reason it's being said we are living in biblical times. We are fighting pure evil. Satan.
At Spacksky 7331 wrote,
Too many people are alive who should never existed. This is a well-needed culling, especially with how many people will get laid off in the next 5 years. We are talking about billions, so start the dying useless sick people, especially the ones who eat too much, drink too much, and smoke. Bye-bye, you all killed yourselves.
At Donald Johnson C2J wrote,
Thank Obama for that insurance plan through the roof cost. I used to be able to buy temporary insurance for $150 a month. But that wasn't considered good enough under the ACA.
At Diamond_us wrote,
Free healthcare is not just a lie due to massive taxation, but the fact even massive taxes can't do away with the fact of limited resources, just like Zimbabwe can't do away with poverty by printing trillion-dollar bills. These free healthcare nations have insane wait times and multiple checks before providing critical aid. On top of that, some are now pushing medical-assisted death to cut costs.
At Ivana Jovicic 1976 wrote,
No, in Europe they don't take half of your paycheck. There is net and gross salary. Do some research on that. It's too long to explain here. The difference between the net salary received by the employee and the gross salary is the responsibility of the employer to pay to the state, and it is defined by law. Healthcare and other forms of social protection are based on these funds. That's why going to the doctor or a dentist doesn't cost an arm and a leg.
At Angelopoulos wrote,
In Cali, it's forced on you, or they can add enforceable consequences that make you a criminal and then take your home from you and force you to take pills that make the Ocare richer.
Ethoth Hartmut 2833 wrote,
As soon as you allow universal free healthcare, they're going to lobby for the cost to go up every year until it's 100% of your paycheck, maybe even more, and we'll all be homeless, and they don't even care. They will destroy everyone's life in this country. They literally don't care. They will KLL us all. They don't FKNG care.
At Angelopoulos wrote,
All the PPL who forced it on us finally have to pay their first bill, and they immediately opt out, which will increase prices. They should be forced to pay double to recoup everyone else's shouldering their burden for 25 years. Ty Obama.
At Bimoi Brigade wrote,
We in the Netherlands do not have free healthcare. We pay about €200 monthly, and that is also for medicine, hospitals, etc. No one take 45% of our paycheck.
And MacDaddy Vic wrote,
I came up with a very good solution to all of this bullshit. Speaking only for myself, but maybe some of you buttheads will tag along with me on this. Just don't get sick. Or if you do get sick, even if it's a terminal illness, just accept your fate. Accept it. Doctor tells you are going to die, but we can save your life for X amount of dollars. Just refuse treatment and accept your fate. This way, you don't have to pay jack shit. Ick. Pretty good idea, I thought anyways.
At Pat Rafferty 3910 wrote,
When we didn't have health care, I told my kids if you break something, it stayed broke. If you leaking blood, get the duct tape, or for anything else, salt pill.
At Jack Lionel 1618 wrote,
My work offered me health insurance, but for my family it would cost me $1,200 a month. Keep in mind, being my daughters and my husband barely ever use the doctor. Really, the only time we go to the doctor is when they have to go to their well visits that are required. However, I always pay out of pocket. I find it's actually cheaper that way. They actually give discounts to people who pay out of pocket right there. Also, I have been on payment plans that work out a lot better. I said no to the package they were offering me because that's like one of my paychecks every month. $600 a paycheck. I said no way. I just exercise, eat right, and really try to take care of myself and my family. If I get into an accident, I'll just go to the emergency room. That stuff doesn't count against your credit. I'm actually done it this way since my 20s, and I am now in my 50s. I've never had health insurance. When I have had to go to the doctor for work physical, I pay out of pocket. It's actually cheaper. I'm in my 50s, and when I go for those physicals, they're amazed I'm not on any medication. Never had any diseases or things that bother me. I'm out so quick. Kevin Trudeau once said don't go to the doctor unless you need an arm sewed back on. It seems like the more people go to the doctor, the sicker they become.
At Joe Dirt 6073 wrote,
Here is the deal. All these great inventions and advancements in the healthcare industry are relatively new. This generation has so many things available that other generations didn't. Not too long ago, a bad hit meant a cane, not a replacement. Not too long ago, a bad heart meant death, not a transplant or other fix. Not too long ago, there was nothing they could do if you got cancer. Is insurance a scam? Yes. But again, you have so much more than previous generations, and all you do is complain.
At Royal Saint 117 wrote,
I work for an international manufacturing company in the southern state of Arkansas, and as single guy with no kids or wife at the age of 32, I pay for dental, health, and vision insurance through my job. I pay in about $180 a month for all the insurance combined they provide.
At C_Wyoming 7 wrote,
They can take your assets for unpaid medical debt. You could lose your house. For you, bro, look into Delta Dental. It's $45/month, and that's pretty good dental insurance.
At Iliki Tolgo Alpha Time 55 wrote,
All these people not paying are in fantasy land. I broke my arm and was in debt for $80K for a one-night stay and a small surgery. This whole system needs to collapse. Tired of this fucking shit.
At Cheryl Bentel 8305 wrote,
I know everyone's journey is unique to them. Out of nowhere, I contracted a horrible disease that left me with respiratory and kidney failure. I spent over a month in the EQ, went to operating room once, had 10 blood transfusions, and was on chemo for 3 months. Years later, I am doing better and am happy to be alive. Before this happened to me, I guess I wouldn't have been scared to not have healthcare. But after going through what I did, I will always pay for healthcare.
At Julia V 889 wrote,
As a South African, it sounds unreal to me that these 25-year-plus people are getting kicked off their parents' med insurance. Here in South Africa, you can put anyone on your insurance. You're the one paying the monthly bill, so it's up to you and no one else.
At Nick Wasseltown 75 wrote,
Bro, I'm English, and we pay a small amount of our salary towards free healthcare. I earn just £25,000 a year. Couple of grand a month and pay £100 or so a month, 5 to 10% of my salary. You're getting bent over by greedy insurance companies in the US and pegged.
At Contention 100 wrote,
My 85-year-old father is a hypochondriac. He gets so much as a ZIT on his forearm, and he's screaming for a doctor. And I know why. He thinks he's going to hell, and he's terrified. This obsession with trying to live forever is ridiculous. We all die. Get over it. And no, you can't take it with you.
At Rev Callisto wrote,
I'll be paying $75 a month after my employer contribution. Premium went up like $150 a month, but our employer also kicked in more, which means my HSA savings level thankfully won't change.
Athoth Hartmut 2833 wrote,
Here's the most FKD up thing about all of this. What do you get for paying all of this? Once a year you go in and you sit there and wait, and then a guy comes and looks in your eyes and ears, and then taps you on the knee, and then he sticks his fingers in your thigh. That's what you're paying all this money for and worrying about being able to pay it. That's it. He put your children's genitals in his hand and then gets paid $200. WTF is this accomplishing? You're literally just paying some pervert to look at your kid's DK. That's literally what it is.
At Fox Mulder 7616 wrote,
Just don't go to the doctor until you get really sick. Self-diagnose yourself and self-heal and cure your own illnesses. Until one comes along, maybe you can. Then enroll in health insurance. And since there'd be no prior medical history at sea documentation and you wouldn't tell them, you could just enroll and they will cover it, even if it started shortly before enrollment.
At Painted Lady 4589 wrote,
When Obamacare started, we had insurance through my husband's job. His was paid for by his employer. Mine came out of his check. Before Obamacare, it cost around $300 a month for me. After Obamacare, it shot up to $869 per month in just a couple of years. And no one gave a shit about that RP off. So it's just tough luck for you guys that have been sucking off the taxpayer all this time. You should have known, like the rest of us did, that Obama doesn't care about you then, and the Democrats don't care about you now.
At Energiful00D wrote,
1735, he's not wrong, but I don't want government-ran healthcare. Everything the government is in charge of is in a massive debt hole. They'll tell you it's 7%, then it will be 21%.
At Adabilieta 2967 wrote,
How are they just cancelling employer-based insurance? Several of us tried to do that where I used to work and sent in a rep to tell us we were under contract and straight up scare us. We had all just signed up before checking their coverage and ratings. BC, the owner, was banging the healthcare rep and put pressure on us. The only way we got out of it was our HR person would not give them our social security numbers after the fact. Ach harassed us all for months.
At Danny_Lee28 wrote,
I work for a hospital, still pay $780 a month out of my check for insurance. I stopped vaccinating my kids years back. The in-network pediatrician refused to see my kids, so I have to pay cash for them. Stopped well visits altogether because of this. So we pay all this money and can't be seen by their physicians.
At Bernius Animations wrote,
I'm in a union. My employer pays for my benefits. Union dues are $20 a week. So I pocket all what I could have paid for insurances. I do remember paying $600 for my whole family at my previous employer. I would have to come in for a 6th day to cover for that. Never going back to a non-union workplace.
At BLDGS Fall Straight Down wrote,
Look, if the vast majority of people stop paying the insurance companies will begin to at least drop rates drastically. But at the same time, if hospitals and clinics and doctors start seeing a vast majority of people who just don't have insurance, they will stop messing with the mess that is insurance to get paid. They will drop their rates to get higher volumes of cash payers. Period. But in addition to all of this, people need to stop going to the doctor for every goofy little thing. If you get the flu, what good does it do to go to a doctor? You already have it at that point. If it's for the stupid note to the school or job, then tell that school or job the reality. I'm not required to get little hall passes for your stupid policies. We're at yet another major crossroads. We must band together and stop these fool-ass companies. This isn't elementary school, and we don't need a mommy figure to tell us how things are.
Cara Marissa wrote,
In Ontario, Canada, you're paying a minimum in $10,000 taxes per year as a full-time at least minimum wage worker. You most likely will be paying at least 50% minus 60% of your income on housing/rent too. So, I mean, if you're covered for any major, serious medical expense, I think paying like $300 to $400 per month for health insurance as a single person wouldn't be that bad. Of course, when it becomes more expensive than that, then I get that it starts to feel like a ripoff.
A Fish Sticks 2-dose wrote,
Wait till you get healthcare and your deductible is $2,000 plus out of pocket. Don't worry, the first doctor's visit will be around $900, and so will the follow-up. You'll only need another $200 to meet that for the year. Then your insurance will pick up 80-ish% of the bill. Yeah, having insure is basically not having it if you're too poor to use it.
A David6799 wrote,
Well, what you are saying sounds good, but it is different reality in life. For example, 2 years ago I had a stroke. In and out of the hospital and therapy and this and that. My total billed cost for 2023, and I did not pay any of it because I have Medicare. So thank God it did not cost me. But anyway, the total for that year was $878,000. Who in the F can afford $878,000? Like I said, thank God I had Medicare. But if I did not have any insurance, what would I have done? There's no way I could even come close to paying that.
Faskersk wrote,
I just renewed my health insurance, but I'm wishing I would have opted not to continue to have it. It's $300 every paycheck. That's so much money a month. That's crazy.
A Joe Dirt 6073 wrote,
Gen Z, I turned 18 in 1993. Back then, 18 meant off parents' insurance. The manufacturing industry was a ghost town at this point, and the 90s employment was an absolute joke. Then came the com bubble and burst, followed by the housing bubble and burst. In between those two recessions came $5 gas. All of this happened before I was 35 years old. I am so sick and tired of hearing your complaints when the last 15 years has been relatively calm compared to the prior 15. You Gen Zers have absolutely no idea what a bad time is, but you will at some point. You just have been pretty luck so far.
A Samway Keel 8331 wrote,
What's wrong with getting a whole life insurance policy? Make sure it has cash value so you can borrow against this policy when or if needed. Then take the rest of your current monthly health insurance payment and invest it in a high-yield savings account or a money market. Both give you immediate accessibility while still generating a good return on investment. They prioritize liquidity and ensure your money is available when needed without significant risk of loss or penalties. IDK, just a thought. Check out the pros and cons and see if this is an option for you. Because if you're not using health insurance routinely, this may be an option for savings and money when or if needed.
A Mrs. Fuddlebuttle wrote,
Sure, a doctor's visit isn't that much, but a week in the hospital will destroy you. So you never know if have a heart attack, a gallbladder removed, or a car wreck or any unexpected illness. So insurance is necessary as far as I'm concerned. My open heart surgery was over $100,000 without insurance. My cost was $6,000 with insurance. I'm afraid I will lose my job soon, so I may have to get personal insurance.
At Richard George 676 wrote,
Screw you, Obamacare. My family plan before $400 a month top tier, then $900 a couple years later, $1,400 again a year after that, $1,600, now it's $1,800, and it is not the best neither.
At the Superboy 6 wrote,
16. 28. I don't go to MC Donald's because they're absolutely disgusting, full of processed man-made crap and not actual food products, and they reduce the size of their portions by over half while increasing prices by 300%. If you're going to do fast food, go to Wendy's.
At Montelaniana 5749 wrote,
At age 67, I cough up money, had remainder of all teeth removed. Paid for dentures. Didn't want to bother with dentists later on in life. Go get new dentures when needed. At the moment, that equal $800 for a set. Win-win went on C.
As Sherry Dyer wrote,
Always said Heath Insurance was a scam. We don't need a middleman to get medical care. Also, we don't need $5,000. Scans make the prices smaller.
TXAdri71 wrote,
So glad people are waking up. I haven't carried healthcare for years. It's been so expensive, it's gone up every year since ACA started. Canceling ACA is the best thing that could happen to bring prices back down.
At Lurks wrote,
Speak for yourselves. My family doesn't qualify for assistance. We pay about $450 a month for health, dental, vision, and life insurance through my husband's company, and my upcoming birth is only costing us $1,300 out of pocket. V's.
At Contention 100 wrote,
Pharmaceuticals, lobbyists, and politicians have been getting rich on people's fear of dying. Now they have a pill for everything that could possibly hurt you, and the doctors are pushing them more than ever. I'm 62, and I remember saying when I was in my 20s, humans were never meant to live into their 80s and beyond. I stand by that. I know I don't want to live that long. Not even close. When I STRP is ing BLO'd, I am not saying a W word to anyone.
Athoth Hartmut 2833 wrote,
I had a healthcare plan that said it covered blood work for free, and I was curious like, oh, what could they tell me if they analyzed my blood? Probably lots of things right. So I went in and did it. The nurse who took it was like some sexy vampire who loved extracting blood from her victims, and it was kind of making me hot, not gonna lie. Anyway, they billed me for it and never gave me the results, and I was like, WTF? Then they tried to steal the money that I put into a health savings account because that was a new idea that I came up with, and they straight up just tried to steal it and sent me an email like, if you don't want us to take this money from you, then respond to this email. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't want you to take that money from me, so I'm transferring it to one of my other accounts and closing this BS.
Trista Miller 3461 wrote,
The last time I had an employer offer insurance, I found all the add-ons and copays, deductibles, and special accounts to be absolutely ridiculously confusing. What a bunch of BS.
At Gnome in Plaid C6C wrote,
When my doctor was taking insurance, he had to pay one person a salary just to do billing because of all the codes for different things. When he stopped taking insurance and the patients could pay cash, his charge went from $200 per office call down to $100 POINT00 per office call. Everything was so much easier without insurance. It's a scam.
At Ronald Trunk 7944 wrote,
Sure, cancelling health insurance is great and all, but as soon as you get into a serious car accident because of idiots out there, you will be broke for the rest of your life.
At Alan Canigliero 2545 wrote,
It cost me $10,000 for 45 minutes in urgent care 2 bills is crazy. The Army paid them $4,000 on one bill and $1,600 on the other invoice. So if AI had no health care, I would have been charged $10,000, but by being in the military, the urgent care only received $5,600, which is still way bloated.
At Armavekwi wrote,
Interesting, my job is in an open enrollment period right now ending this week. Maybe I might turn some things down. I turned 26 this year. No medical problems, and I get paid a lot.
At Gnome in Plaid C6C wrote,
When my offspring was young, he was asthmatic. It took my paycheck every 2 weeks to pay for his inhaler and antibiotic because he always had bronchitis. Now you can get these same antibiotics for nearly free.
At Washington Redskins 2228 wrote,
What people don't know is if you're uninsured and go to the hospital for an emergency, you can negotiate 80 to 95% off your bill. They just use it as a tax write-off. Just eat healthy and exercise. If you need to go to the doctor, see an NP/PA in a clinic. It will be under $200. Then once you turn 65 and actually need insurance, you get Medicare guaranteed by the government.
At Axingfrancewurst 4648 wrote,
Congress has health care. So do Israelis and Argentinians, who Trump gives billions of our tax dollars to. Congress has health care. Congress has health care. We pay for Congress to have health care.
At Trista Miller 3461 wrote,
I wouldn't really mind seeing a doctor that has rejected the system and is just working out of his or her home. Yeah, not really legal, but things are getting ridiculous.
Ethoth Hartmut 2833 wrote,
Of course, we all know that Donald Trump decides whether or not healthcare exists. No, it's literally the healthcare companies and your employer, if you ever had benefits at a job, screwing you over and stealing part of your paycheck from you. As soon as I was adopted into that lifestyle, I said FK this, and I opted out of it. Shortly after, that's when they tried to make health insurance mandatory, because that was part of their bread and butter. One of their scams they used to steal from you and enrich themselves. Now these people want to blame Donald Trump because the richest country in the world doesn't have affordable health insurance, rather than all the greedy holes who use whatever programs we do have as scams that scam you. Do they seriously think that the president controls everything? There are companies that operate to make a profit that disguise themselves as health insurance companies, because that's just another way of scamming people into you getting to take their money. That's how literally every industry works in this country.
At Truman 1980 wrote,
I'd rather leave the party early life than pay those criminals $1. These insurance companies need to be put out of business. I'm 44, and if my math is correct, I've paid on just car insurance alone came up to $79,000. The time I needed them told me that there's nothing they can do. We are forced to have it for a reason. I canceled my health insurance a long time ago. I'd rather DYE than give it to those criminals. I'd cancel my car insurance too, but they'll take away my license and throw me jail if I don't. LET freedom ring baby. This entire criminal system of ours is straight up evil. Freedom to be ASL at V maybe.
At Ollie Cruz 4900 wrote,
Other countries have the luxury of free healthcare. BCR military, which we pay for through our taxes dollars, subsidizes them. So, we Americans can pay for everyone else in the world and fuck ourselves. It's great.
At Energiful 00D wrote,
There are people in these healthcare networks on the corporate level that make more money than surgeons, and all they do is attend meetings all day. I know about this personally. It's disgusting and needs to stop.
FYP for Life wrote,
Yo guys, it's a gamble. We tried doing this years back, and my wife had a serious health issue, and we got hit with serious bills. It was a horrible nightmare applying for financial aid / sending letters to debtors / trying to find a way to get the bills down to where it was attainable to pay off. Won't ever do that again.
At Decay Grim 8943 wrote,
If you need 100k surgery, your best bet is to be jobless and homeless because you can then just sign up for like that rich people pay for your shit. That's what I did.
A Theonly expert wrote,
Good. Healthcare is a scam anyway. When a doctor sees you have coverage, They're more motivated to find something wrong and do tests and procedures you don't need just to milk the insurance company. Also, less visits to the doctors, less chances you'll get caught in the medical lie trap of embracing their fear-based beliefs about yourself. If they knew what they're doing, they'd cure instead of treat. They seed disease-filled ideas and take your money as it flourishes.
At Jonathan L. 3377 wrote,
Here's what a lot of people are waking up to: insurance is great if you have a big family, but most doctors bill insurance companies for time lost because they take forever to pay them. So they go, well, since you are taking forever to pay us, then I want money for the time wasted. Doctors have a business to run, and they would rather work with you than haggle with insurance companies because the money you give them is instant. They don't have to wait. Bills do not wait for doctors, just like us regular people, so they would rather lose the $100 and take your $150 than hope that the insurance will pay $250 or the $300 that they want, because insurance companies aren't there to help you. They are there to make investors richer and make money, not to help you. Insurance is a scam. If you look back at the 50s, doctors worked with their patients and had them pay what they could, and if you were a piece of crap, then they wouldn't work with you. It was as simple as that. But go figure, the government and red tape screwed everyone over. And this is just what I know. I'm sure there's more to it, but just a little fun fact for those who may not have known.
At Legend Valley wrote,
Healthcare is for homeowners. If you don't pay the hospital, they will put a lien on your home. Most people who need healthcare have their home paid off. It's a trap. They want us older people to pay for Medicare so the Medicaid people can have it free. The hospitals have lawyers, and if you do not think they will put a lien on your home, you're crazy. They did to my mom. Do not trust in Google.
At Anthony Angelis 9366 wrote,
7% the first year, 14% the second year, 28% the fifth year, and you're waiting 6 months to see a PCP. No thanks. If you don't have company-provided healthcare, find a better job.
At Red Room 66 wrote,
And this has to do a lot with Obamacare now. That's not the only thing, but that's a very big problem. Also, these greedy fucks that make the rules don't allow actual capitalism to exist. They have all these rules and regulations to keep the same MF getting paid.
At Noel Wilson 7128 wrote,
The culture of children leaving the home as early as possible was inherited from the British. Historically, it was completely normal for children to go off to boarding schools, military academies, or to become domestic servants to learn an apprenticeship or trade or profession. Once married, children rarely returned to the family home. This was almost unique in Europe and thought to be one of the ingredients of the Industrial Revolution, starting initially in Britain. In most other European cultures, it was normal to have 2, 3, or 4 generations in the same home, mostly based on farming, everyone helping out.
At Jason McDonald YT wrote,
Jack, I know people argue that Canadians pay super high income taxes. In my province of Ontario, Canada, someone who makes $100,000 will pay around $26,000 in federal and provincial tax. It includes Canada Pension Plan contributions as well as employment insurance. Our taxes are progressive, so if you are earning over $140K, they get higher. Honestly, the fact that we don't have to pay health insurance, I don't think it's as bad as people think. Pick your poison, I suppose.
At Ursulapklin_Mia 6148 wrote,
26 and under adult dependents being on their parents' health care started 2010 as part of the Affordable Care Act ACA. We never had that before. We were all out of the house by 18, no later than 20, and working. Also in your 20s and 30s, you didn't give a damn about health insurance.
At Energiful00D wrote,
People don't realize how bad this is. I'm fortunate enough to work for a company that provides me with a monthly health premium of around $260 PO in T00, but what the company pays is astronomical. They pay $30,000 a year on their end, so $2,500 PO in T00 a month. Plus, I get dinged for high deductible out-of-pocket expenses with an HSA card I have to contribute, and they match as well. Obamacare did nothing but make it worse than before. People I work with complain about their pay, and I tell them they can thank their healthcare plan for that. Plus, anytime I get a bill, I check to see if they ripped me off, so I'll pay more out of pocket, and sure enough, after a routine procedure, they coded it incorrectly, but the hospital coded it right. Saved me about $600 PO in T00.
A Gamers Bay wrote,
The Affordable Care Act was never affordable and horribly exploited by greedy insurance companies. Let it expire, it's a total fraud, and the coverage you get from the healthcare marketplace is garbage. What people need to understand is that before the ACA went into effect, insurance companies had to be competitive, not anymore. Now the insurance companies just charge whatever they want because they know the plans they offer are being covered by taxpayer subsidies. The ACA was supposed to bring down the cost of healthcare. It did the exact opposite.
A Civilian Wardrobe wrote,
You think healthcare was affordable before the shutdown? They extort us for $500 plus a month, and when we use it, we out of pocket up to 5 to 8K. Not worth it. Might as well not have it.
At Fry 5933 wrote,
Hold up. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. People have been going without healthcare for years. But for those that have a real medical condition and need to have access to it and have to pay it, and what was affordable is no longer the case. And we all know why.
As Someone's Daughter 3180 wrote,
So, Obamacare will bite these people in the ass with a tax penalty if they choose not to carry insurance. It was the most horrific thing that happened during his time in office because he signed that bill into law, requiring every person to pay for health insurance or face a penalty from the IRS. I agree we should simply allow ourselves to be in charge of our own medical maintenance and expenses. But Obamacare stepped in and said, no.
A Flawed Nicely wrote,
I just tried to jump off my job's insurance to go get personal insurance at a cheaper rate a month. I just learned I can't get off it, so I'm paying $600 a month for it out of my paycheck. $255 biweekly for health that couldn't pay for a simple urgent care, and $28 PO in T55 for dental, and $11 for vision. They won't even cover my albuterol or hardly any of my prescriptions. I have to wait till March of next year during their own enrollment time to drop it. I love it here.
At Grinning in Theirface 2685 wrote,
Haven't had health care in 25 years and haven't been to the DR in 30. Broken rib, they did nothing. Last time they poisoned me, I was in the Marine Corps. Why would you want their poison care anyway? Duh.
At Surveying the Landscape 4273 wrote,
I know why, because there is another legit pandemic coming down the pipe, and this one is extremely lethal. They don't want to deal with the plebs on this. We're not that important, and actually we are part of the plan to go down. So Big Health already knows, and that's why they're cutting us, or making it extremely uncomfortable for us to be able to keep up with health insurance. Save this for later, you're going to see it happen.
A Todd Magnuson Was Here wrote,
The Hippocratic Oath hasn't been in play for a very long time. In the South, I hear the over-the-counter opioids hurt a ton of people in the 00s to the 10s until class action lawsuits got involved. I only pay because I'm married and can still afford it. But if I was a single man, I'd rather trust a strip mall ex-military private doctor on a cash basis. The system is there to keep you sick for profit in most cases.
At Decay Grim 8943 wrote,
Hi, I have state insurance and I maintain that free state insurance by only working jobs that pay me cash, and I've been doing this for over 5 years and I'm 31 years old.
At Adam Johnson, BG7LY wrote,
1125. Imagine instead of paying that monthly fee for insurance, one puts that money into the markets, into stocks that pay dividends. Eventually, that would compound and turn into a secondary and potentially a primary form of income.
At Living Grace 1 wrote,
These people want to blame President Trump for health insurance costs. Obamacare destroyed health insurance. We lost our BCBS that we worked and paid into for 40 years. Now, for me to pay for health insurance, it costs $2,000 a month premium with a $9,000 out-of-pocket expense. I am healthy and refuse to pay for health insurance. I pay out of pocket.
At Gabriel Pardo 4229 wrote,
The fuck is insurance gonna do if I have a heart attack anyways? Half the time, people have the strength to walk it off or they don't. Simple as.